There's a quarter from 1993 that seasoned collectors guard like a family secret, not because every single one is worth a fortune, but because tucked among millions of common pieces are a few that can surprise you at auction. If you're sorting through a jar of change, listen closely. This script will show you where the real value hides, how to spot it, and what to do if you think you found one. Imagine finding a quarter in your change that could pay your mortgage. Let's start with the headline. Most 1993 Washington quarters were produced in huge numbers and are common in circulation, but a handful of varieties and the low mintage silver proof make certain 1993 quarters worth paying attention to. Quick overview, the facts you'll want to remember. 1993 P, Philadelphia, and 1993 D, Denver, business strikes were produced in very large quantities, so most unremarkable examples are worth face value or only small premiums unless they're in exceptional, gem quality. 1993 S-proof coins were struck for collectors. Among these, the 90% silver-proof edition has a far lower mintage and therefore routinely commands a premium over the regular clad proofs. Why most 1993 quarters are ordinary, and what ordinary means. The basic circulating 1993 quarter is a copper core, cupronickel-clad Washington quarter, the same specifications used since 1965, roughly 5.67 grams and 24.26 millimeters diameter, with a cladding that places the metal composition effectively around 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. For everyday use, these coins have very low melt value and extremely high supply, which keeps intrinsic values modest unless a coin is in unusually high grade or is an error/variety. If you're sorting change, don't expect face value quarters to be valuable, but do pay attention to condition and unusual features. Where the money is, 3 paths to value. Gem uncirculated rarity, condition matters more than date here. With hundreds of millions struck, a 1993 quarter graded MS-65 or better is where you start to see collector premiums. At MS-66 and above, values jump noticeably because very few examples survive that clean from an era of massive mintages. If you're lucky enough to find an untoned, full-strike MS-66 Plus/PR-70 example, that's where the real collectors pay attention. Proof and silver proof, the easiest find to recognize. In 1993 the U.S. Mint produced San Francisco proof quarters. A subset of those were struck in 90% silver for the silver proof set, and their mintage is far lower than the massive business strikes. Those silver proofs were sold to collectors and are often still kept in original packaging. Because they contain silver plus collector interest, they routinely trade at premiums, sometimes modest, sometimes significant when the piece is graded and shows deep cameo contrast or attractive toning. If you spot an S mint mark and the coin looks like a proof, mirror fields, frosted devices, you may be looking at the most collectible 1993 quarter right there. Errors and varieties, the rare lightning strike. Error coins, double dies, off-center strikes, major die cracks, clipped planchets, are the glitchy gems collectors love. They're rare in percentage terms but can be worth several times face value, sometimes hundreds or thousands, depending on severity and desirability. There are documented double die and other error varieties for 1993 Washington quarters. However, most alleged errors seen on marketplaces are minor and of low value, so certification by a major grading service is the way to turn a find into realized value. How to inspect a quarter like a numismatist, speed checklist. Mint mark, look under Washington's chin/right ribbon for P, D, or S. That tells you where it was struck and narrows scarcity. Finish, is it frosty and mirrored, proof, or matte and satiny, circulation strike? Proofs are visually very different. Surface, look for doubling, letters, date, motto, strange edges, or missing parts of designs. Use a 10x loop or a smartphone macro photo. If you see something dramatic, photograph it and keep any original packaging. Condition, no nicks, no rub, sharp rims, full luster. A coin that looks brand new in the hand will be exponentially more valuable than one with bag marks. If it looks pristine, consider having it slabbed, certified, before selling. Real-world price signals, what people actually pay. Most common, circulated 1993 P and 1993 D quarters trade around face value to a couple of dollars depending on grade and seller. Uncirculated examples, MS63, MS65, might trade from a few dollars to the low tens. High-grade certified pieces, MS66 Plus, can jump into the tens to low hundreds depending on market and final grade. Meanwhile, 1993 S silver proofs, because they are 90% silver and lower mintage, often sell for a consistent premium, sometimes several times a clad proof's price, especially when graded and labeled as silver proof in top condition. Auction records show the real potential, but remember, those represent the top end, not the average. A word of caution on rare listings. Online marketplaces are full of listings claiming rarity. Many sellers list raw or ungraded coins at high prices hoping someone pays, but value only materializes when a buyer and a grading service agree. If you find a coin you suspect is valuable, don't sell hastily, instead document, avoid cleaning the coin, cleaning kills value, and consider submitting it for certification, PCGS, NGC, ANAX. A properly graded coin commands the market's trust and usually a higher, quicker sale. If you think you found a valuable 1993 quarter, step by step. Stop handling the coin, oils and rub reduce grade. Photograph obverse and reverse with a macro or good phone camera. Compare to reference photos for double dies and proof examples. If it's an obvious proof, mirror fields, or a dramatic error, consider third-party grading. For small suspected premiums, gem uncirculated, check recent auction/completed sales to set your expectation. Certification costs money, weigh that against likely value. Why collectors still love 1993 quarters. It's not glamour like 1794 or 1932, yes, but the 1990s offer a sweet spot. Coins are modern enough to be found in change, yet still old enough that high-grade survivors are scarce. For people who grew up in the 1990s, finding a gem 1993 quarter carries nostalgia, a strong pull for the older U.S. collector market. Plus, the existence of a low-mintage silver proof and documented error varieties gives the year enough story to keep serious collectors interested. That combination, nostalgia, scarcity at extreme grades, and a silver-proof variant, is why a 1993 quarter can go from pocket change to story coin. Want a printable checklist and a short, how to photograph coins, guide tailored for your phone camera? I can produce a one-page handout you can keep by your coin jar, ready to use when you sort coins this weekend. If you'd like that, say, handout please, and I'll generate it.